I have to ask, is the Dr. Dan that now wants to be on, is this the same Dr. Dan we already spoke to earlier who dropped out of medical school, or is this a different doctor? Dr. Dan?
Different doctor.
Oh, different. Are you actually a doctor?
I'm a medical doctor and I have a PhD, two for the price of one.
You're a genuine, nobody can take anything away from you. You're genuinely a medical doctor.
Hold on, from down under, calling from South Australia.
I love it. What's your specialty?
Cardiology.
Cardiology?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. What is it, 10 a.m. there?
It's 10:30 in the middle of Australia, South
Very
Australia.
good. Well, welcome to the program. What can I do for you today?
Thank you, and thank you for your show.
Thank you.
I was interested if you've subscribed to the theory that the QAnon phenomena is more than just a random collection of loonies, but more a political campaign driven by Bannon, by Trump, the political tool through social media to try and impact the result for the.
I struggle to think so, only because they're so disorganized and incompetent that it's hard for me to believe that something that would only indirectly be such a campaign for an individual like Trump could be so well organized and proactive. I just struggle to believe that.
The conspiratory movement has made it to Australia, which one of the reasons I'm contacting you, or I've got in contact with your show, is because it's made such an impact on my work as a doctor, because my patients are refusing vaccines, because they're subscribing to the QAnon rubbish.
Wait. Your patients are refusing what?
COVID vaccination.
Oh, COVID vaccination. Oh, yeah. No, that doesn't surprise me. But do they mention QAnon stuff specifically?
Specifically. So they have a bunch of relatively left-wing, boomer-aged, conservative people, sometimes alternative medicine influenced, are now subscribing to anti-vax trope, but also now supporting Putin in the war in the Ukraine. Mm-hmm. They've gone from climate change activism to being climate skeptics.
Yep.
And it's really shocking. And there's a group of guys who are doing research to understand what's driving it and how it's reached so far across the world. There's a guy called Daniel Morrison, an excellent essay on Medium. If you Google Daniel Ed Morrison in Medium, his essay is a lot of research looking at the Cambridge Analytica.
Yep.
And some connections with Bannon and the Trump campaign.
I'll check that out. That sounds interesting. But honestly, it's not a big shock. Oh, do you have to get that? Is that a patient?
No, go. No,
okay. It's not a shock to me that this has reached Australia, because with the internet, it's basically everywhere to some degree.
See, we don't have your religious conservative politics, and we've got compulsory voting, thankfully, which is saving us from the fringe having a major influence. But we've now got 4 senators in our federal upper house who are basically spouting the same QAnon bullshit to Parliament.
When someone says when a patient says they don't want the vaccine because of some QAnon thing, what do you say?
It depends how much time I have, but I'd usually blast them for just taking bullshit from the internet and to trust your doctor. Basically, if we say, look, if you trust me with your life and you're taking my medicines and you let me operate on you, you've got to trust me that I'm a more reliable source of information than your Uncle Jerry who's just seen something online that's crap.
And how do they tend to react?
Usually break it down. There's 2 schools. Some of them are just so completely down the rabbit hole that they can't deal. Wow. And they don't trust us and they walk away and they just genuinely think the vaccine's going to kill them.
Yep.
And I'm trying to tell them that you're an 80-year-old guy with heart failure. If you get COVID, that's going to kill you. Don't believe what you see online. The biggest threat is the virus. Just banging my head against the wall, trying to work out what the motivation is for the QAnon guys to be driving us so hard. And the only motivation I can come for is that somebody's getting political gain or monetary gain from it. And that's why I'm subscribing to this theory that it's a PSYOPs operation through by conservative political operatives to get votes or to activate the vote in the US, because it's the only thing that makes sense.
What a nightmare. That is crazy. Well, listen, thank you for letting us know what's going on down there. Can I ask you a cardiology question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a definite answer right now on cholesterol from the standpoint of, it used to be that eating cholesterol would raise your blood cholesterol, and then more recently it doesn't. It's carbs that get turned into cholesterol by the body. What is the truth on diet and cholesterol right now?
So the short version is the majority of your blood cholesterol is driven by genetics, unfortunately. So if you've got shitty genetics, no matter what you eat, it's going to be lousy.
Right.
You have a marginal increment to your cholesterol if you eat high saturated fat diet. Doesn't necessarily have to have cholesterol in it, but if you have high meat fats and dairy fats in your diet, you're more likely to have an elevated cholesterol. And if you're massively overweight, it messes with your lipids. So if you're talking about the average American who's eating a high carb diet and is 50 pounds overweight, that's probably what's driving their increase in cholesterol. But you can eat your eggs, it won't kill you. But if you've got a genetically high cholesterol, you should be conscious of that and talk to your doctor about statins, because there are drugs that can make a big difference.
And what about
diet makes a
like
marginal difference?
Oatmeal might reduce cholesterol, and it's always like it might, it's not totally clear. What about that?
Oh, no, it's very clear that the effect is small. So there are a whole bunch of products called plant sterols, naturally occurring plants, and that's why the vegans have much better cholesterol than the rest of us. Oats, and there are some products in the stores where they enhance food products with sterols that are naturally occurring in oats, specifically to try and trap cholesterol in your guts so that you poo more of it out rather than absorbing it. It's effective, but it's only marginal. If you imagine the effect that a medication has, it might drop your cholesterol by half. Getting a really strict diet eating sterols might reduce your cholesterol by 1/10 if you're really militant about it. But it's a quality of life question. If it makes you miserable, you may as well eat your eggs and don't worry about that 1 week off your life, or take your medicines and live another year. The medicines have such a big impact that if you really have a serious cholesterol problem, don't get too hung up about the diet, but take your pills.
Dr. Dan, thank you so much. Really appreciate the call.
No, and thanks for your show.
All right, there we go. We'll let him get back to his. I don't even think he's really working right now, but great to hear from Dr. Dan.